What's up YouTube? It's your boy Grassy TV back with another Hero Siege video. Season 5 begins on December 13th and has been fully loaded with over 200 new sub-skill trees across all classes, as well as new items and runes, a Hero Siege style mapping system, a rebirth of glyphs, angelic augments, better Chaos Tower scaling, much needed performance improvements across the game, and so freaking much more. I am super excited to explore the new season and very humbled to be making content on this awesome game. Today I present to you my starter build guide for the Shuriken Throw Samurai in Season 5. You may notice this video is a little bit different than the previous ones. Season 5 starts in less than 72 hours, and I've got some IRL stuff that I need to take care of, as well as I need to prep for Season 5. So this video is going to be a little bit shorter than the previous ones. I will try to get through all of the content, but I will have the full written guide available, as well as there are timestamps for you to, select whatever content that you need. Let's get started. First, we have the pros and cons. This build has a lot of Doritos going everywhere. It's lightning fast with huge AoE. You have a built-in movement speed passive, as well as a mobility skill. It's Empire Slash. And you get a lot of life and mana leech since you have so many projectiles. It's hard to die on this build unless you just stand in something stupid. However, the build can be fairly laggy if you're on a lower end spec PC. There's a lot of screen clutter, and you're gonna need a lot of gear if you're gonna go bossing, especially some of these higher end game bosses. This is an AoE skill, so you're gonna need a pretty good amount of gear to be able to kill them. And if you want the best flavor of Dorito, you're gonna have to purchase a skin. By the way, all donations and stream revenue in December are going towards my mom's fight with cancer. There's a link in the description if you want to help support. I really appreciate it. Donating, of course, is not required for any of my content. I won't treat anything differently. Be sure you're only supporting if you're able to do so comfortably, and I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you're new to the game, be sure to check out the written guide. There is a leveling section from 1 to 100, just some different information in there on how to effectively level, what zones to farm. I have my ultimate beginner's guide linked in there. I will be adding more information to this over time. This is more of a kind of a getting started for new players. Let's go through all the different skill trees. First, you're going to put all of your points into Blade Barrier. This is your main skill while you're leveling. You cannot start with Shuriken Throw. Well, you can. It just doesn't feel nearly as good as Blade Barrier does, so I recommend going Blade Barrier. At level 8, you're going to put all of your points into Blade Barrier. Continue maxing that as much as you can. This skill has a duration on it and a cooldown, making it very easy to manage with mana, so you don't have to stack a bunch of points into energy. Again, at level 16, we're going to continue dumping all of our points into Blade Barrier, with the rest going into Fan of Knives. At level 30, you should have your Blade Barrier maxed, and again, the rest of your points still go into Fan of Knives. At level 60, this is when we get our first augment. This is when we can finally switch into Shuriken Throw. So we're going to max Shuriken Throw, max Explosive Kunai, and then put the rest of our points into Battle Glance. At level 80, we'll max our Battle Glance, put the rest of your points into Warrior Spirit. And at level 100, here's our final Shuriken Throw tree. You'll max Shuriken Throw, max Explosive Kunai, max Battle Glance, and max Warrior Spirit. The rest of the points you'll put in, I don't remember the name of this passive. This is an attack damage passive. You'll put them all there. Next is sub-skill trees. If you're not familiar with sub-skill trees, they're new to Season 5. You gain 1 sub-skill point for every 5 character levels for every skill that you have allocated. So if we look back here on our tree, if I have 1 point in every single one of these skills, I can allocate sub-skill points to them. So first, our Blade Barrier. This is what we're going to be using for leveling. I like grabbing a bit of duration just to have 100% uptime, because you don't really, unless you get lucky and find like a cooldown belt or something, you have like a 2-second window of downtime, and it gets really annoying. So getting this duration will help with that 100% uptime, and then maxing the amount of blades and damage. Also, while you're bossing, if you respec, this is free to respec, by the way, but if you respec this tree and put your points into this rotating speed, this helps tremendously on bosses. Or Shuriken Throw, once you hit level 16, we finally switch to it. This tree focuses on maximum projectiles and crit chance. And last, we have Empire Slash. We're only using this for movement. We don't care about the damage on it. So we're grabbing the most amount of attack speed as we can get. This attack speed over here, it shows like 17.5 or 21.5, whatever that number is. This is multiplicative. This is not just 21% percentual attack speed. It is a more multiplier. It is very potent. Get this, it'll make you so much faster. And then here's a range buff. So this removes the movement of it and makes it more of like a teleport skill, and gives you a bunch more range, and then a ton of life, because it still does damage. And if you hit any enemies with it, you're going to gain full life back. Moving on to our attribute allocation, we're going to put 2 points strength, 2 points vitality while we're leveling. Whenever you're on bosses, it helps to dump all of your points into Vitality because Blade Barrier for the most part will pretty much do the work for you as long as you have a decent attack damage weapon. Next is gearing. This is really just to give you some workable suggestions to get through different stages of the game. But you as a player, you really need to look at your own gear and figure out what's going to work for you at any given time. Also new to season 5 of star levels, this is a bit more advanced. You don't really need this while you're leveling. However, I would check out the video just to make sure you know what star levels are about. This might be something that becomes of interest to you to do while you're leveling. You find a good weapon, you want to upgrade it even more. That's a good option as well. For leveling gear, basically what this says in here is that you pretty much want to look for rare and mythic items. If you get lucky and find certain satanics, by all means use them. But I'm not going to be recommending any of those in the guide because I can't guarantee you finding any of them. Here are some weapon affixes to look for. It's mainly physical damage, physical skill damage, enhanced damage, that sort of thing. And some rune word options. The first is Sky Song. You can use this as early as level 29. They'll make this in a one-handed or a two-handed sword. Same for Malice. You can use this as early as level 15. You can make this in a one-handed or two-handed sword or axe as well. Axe will work. So these are good options. Blade Barrier is not really a attack skill, it's, has a duration on it. So just getting as thick of a weapon as you can, as much attack damage as you can will help a lot. For offhands, here are some different affixes to look for. And then rune words, we have Sky Song again. This is a good one-handed option. Or if you're looking for a shield, Divine Contemplation can give you a ton of resistances. Here are the different helmet affixes you'll look for. And some rune word options. The first is Scholar, very cheap to make. It's an Urtsal. This gives you a skill, some mana leech, which you don't really need the mana on kill, and some physical damage reduction. The better option here is Flesh Ripper. You can use this at 29. It uses a Yim and a Nut. The Nut's a little bit harder to get, but you do get some crit chance, lifesteal, attack speed from when you switch, and up to 20 all res. So I would recommend the Flesh Ripper, but if you can't get one Scholar, it can serve you well as well. For chests, here are some different affixes to look for. Don't look for intelligence, look for strength. And some rune word options. Really, the only one that's early is Shadow. This gives you a ton of movement speed and some hit recovery. That's what I would go for just to move around a bit faster. Honestly, you could look for a chest that has some damage reduced by, some life, a bit more defense on it. For gloves, here are some different affixes to look for. Same for boots. On boots, you really want to prioritize movement speed. I'm kind of like writing this guide as I go through, so there might be a couple things that need changing. Some rune word options, quick steps, you get these as early as level 31. These have up to 70% rolled movement speed, as well as if the base has movement speed on it. So these have 93 movement speed on them, some life leech, some attack speed. They're very, very strong. Here are the different belt affixes to look for. Rings, amulets, charms are very important. Do not miss out on your charms. You can get so many good stats on them. Whenever you hit level 100 and you're in the early game, there really is no best in slot gear here. So I'm going to go through some different examples of just budget gear that you can pick up. First is your weapons. Sky Song, Malice, Aurora's Might. These are all really good weapons. You can make them in, I would make them in two-handed. I shouldn't even be recommending one-handers just because you don't really want to dual wield, but I can understand where if somebody, maybe you're playing hardcore, you'd like to have a shield on for block and for resistance. Totally get it. But you want to make these in two-handed weapons. Try and find a base that has enhanced damage on it. This will greatly affect your damage. Next, you have offhands. If you decide to go for a one-hander, again, you can make Sky Song. I don't know why you would do this. If you wanted the extra skills, go for it. But I can see Divine Contemplation being, your option there for an offhand shield. For helmets, we have Scholar, Flesh Ripper. Those are our leveling ones. I would drop that Scholar. It's so easily replaceable at this point. Flesh Ripper, really, really good. You could probably keep that for a while. Timbers' Grievances and Colossal Avenger are also decent options. For chests, you have Cocoon of the Berserker, Heaven's Might, or Gladstone Goose. Heaven's Might is a tanky chest, giving you a ton of PDR and MDR, as well as a lot of life, up to 6 sockets, skills. Very strong chest. If you're looking for a ton of resistances, Gladstone Goose can give you up to 65% all res. And Cocoon of the Berserkers is the most damage, right? The skills, the attack rating, double leech, 100 ED. For gloves, we have Razor Knuckles and Siege Breakers. Siege Breakers are better for the ignore target defense, but you could also go Razors. Really depends on where you're at with your gearing. Like if you took Malice, maybe you could go Razor Knuckles because you don't want the additional ignore target defense here. It really depends on all of your gear, which options you go with. So you need to look at your character sheet and decide what makes sense for you. For boots, quick steps, cheapest movement speed boots in the game, very easy to get. You probably keep these. However, if you want to go for arena master marchers, these are really nice. You can get 2 skills on them, tons of movement speed, attack speed, some crushing blow. For belts, there's a lot here. Tribal belt, knight's girdle, commander sash, brute's cord, butcher's belt. Brute's cord and butcher belt are the better options here, I would say. Butcher's belt's very strong. Up to 3 skills, you can get 30 res if you need the res. However, Brute's Core does give you crit chance and crit damage with some ignore target defense, so another really good option. For rings, Koto's wedding bands are great. You get +1 skill, a ton of movement speed, life. They're going to be outscaled, unfortunately, by Elven's Graces. These have crit and crit damage on them. But Kotos are going to give you a ton of speed, and you probably don't need all of the damage. In Hell 1, you're not going to need the damage of Elven Graces. Kotos would be just fine, just to have more speed to run around. Cow Raven rings are basically cheap Elven Graces. Next, we have amulets. Raven's Claw is one of your best in slot crit amulets. All Seeing Eye can be a good option here if you want some magic find. And Calyx Fury if you're looking for some additional attack speed. Lastly, we have charms. Here are some different affixes to look for on charms. Satanic charms aren't really an early game buy. Some of these will be rather expensive, but I did want to list some of these out for you. You have Witch's Claw, Raider's Torch, Adventurer's Quiver, Spine Trophy. Spine Trophy at +3 will be very expensive. Anubis's Ankh and Beetle of Life. For the mid game, this is a work in progress. This is stuff that I'll be doing over the season, right? As people and myself, we figure out builds, I'll be updating this. Here are the different relics that you'll want to use for the build. The top 4 are the ones that I recommend that you use. However, there are some different utility options. For example, maybe you decide not to go, butterfly knife, and you'd rather grab Triforce to have, additional all-res, or you find an early Mario pipe that you're using to teleport around with. That's totally fine. But these are the main 4 that I recommend. For your mercenary, the best mercenary is going to be the Act 3 Ranger. The reason for this is you can put a big fanaticism bow on her. You could also go the Act 1 Merc and put a one-handed throwing weapon with fanaticism on it. However, it'll be a lower roll of fanaticism. By the way, fanaticism gives you additional attack speed. So whichever one you want to do here. If you go the Act 1 Merc, you'll end up having more magic find on your Merc than if you go the Act 3 Merc. So this is really up to you. So here are the different weapon options that you'll have here on your Act 3 Merc. You'll want to go Valkyrie. This is your best in slot option because again it does give you the fanaticism aura up to level 36. If you decide to go the Act 1 Merc, there is Aurora's Might, or if you're looking for more magic find, there's Sacred Whip, Ceremonial Dagger, and Death's Mirror are all good options for maximum magic find on your Merc. All of these options are just going to have to do with magic find. Next is different potions that you'll use in the build. I recommend you go with the damage options first, then build in some utility. So Elixir of Death gives you enhanced damage. Rad Bull is increased attack speed and movement speed. Unworldly Cognition can give you additional XP. Witch's Potion is just a full life and mana recovery. You probably don't need this since you have the leech, but if you get in a situation where you need to just pot really fast, this is how you would do it. Golden Blade is magic find and gold, as well as Empty Bottle of Vodka gives you a ton of all skills, and Bottle gives you increased movement speed and phasing. If you're not sure how loot filters work, check out this section here. It kind of guides you through how loot filters work in the game, as well as if you want a detailed highlight filter, I have created one for the new season. Something you need to do on your own is check this. I've shown you how I made this highlight filter. However, you need to check this in the actual game, because whenever they add patches to the game, a lot of times the IDs for different parts of the filter change. So different things will be selected. So import the filter, then go and check that what is showing here is what's actually on the filter. The main part that I see changing is at the very bottom where you select all skills, like the different additive damages. Those are like moving a place or two. So you'll need to fix those. If the patch comes out in time, I will go and fix as I can before things go live, but I can't guarantee I'll be able to do that. So you need to check them. And that's going to wrap up this starter build guide for the Shuriken Throw Samurai. Be sure you put your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more Season 5 builds, I have a ton of them posted here. I will be live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV on launch day, which is December 13th. Playing, having fun. We're doing a subathon that day. It's my first subathon ever. I'm super freaking excited about it. I would love for you guys to come hang out. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.